Hi and welcome to AP Television, where we help you ace your AP exams. Today we're diving into AP Macroeconomics Unit 3, Topic 7, Long-Run Self-Adjustment. This concept is essential to understanding how economies naturally correct themselves after shocks, which can affect everything from unemployment to inflation. Before we begin, let's quickly review the basic idea. Long-run self-adjustment refers to how an economy moves back to its full employment output, or potential GDP, over time, without the need for government intervention. In this video, we'll look at what happens during inflationary and recessionary gaps, and how wages, prices, and supply and demand help the economy reach equilibrium once again. We'll also explore a real-world example from the 2008 financial crisis to make this concept stick. To understand long-run self-adjustment, we first need to look at the key players: aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate demand is the total quantity of goods and services that all sectors of an economy are willing to buy at different price levels. Aggregate supply, on the other hand, represents how much producers in an economy are willing to supply at various price levels. When an economy is shocked, whether by a sudden drop in demand, like during a recession, or by rising costs, such as a supply chain disruption, the economy may experience what we call an output gap. In an inflationary gap, the economy overheats. Too much demand pushes real GDP above its potential. This creates upward pressure on wages and prices, leading to inflation. In a recessionary gap, the opposite happens. Output is below potential, unemployment rises, and wages drop, which can cause deflationary pressure. But here's where long-run self-adjustment comes in. Over time, wages and prices adjust. This is often referred to as sticky wages and prices. In the short run, wages and prices don't immediately respond to changes in the economy, but eventually they do. For example, during a recession, high unemployment puts downward pressure on wages. As wages drop, production becomes cheaper, shifting the short-run aggregate supply curve to the right and bringing the economy back to its full employment level. Now let's take a real-world example to see this in action: the 2008 financial crisis. The 2008 financial crisis is a textbook case of a recessionary gap. The collapse of the housing market led to massive losses for banks, causing a sharp decline in consumer spending and business investment. Real GDP plummeted below its potential output, leading to high unemployment and economic stagnation. In the short term, the US government stepped in with fiscal stimulus, and the Federal Reserve cut interest rates to boost demand. But even with this intervention, the economy took time to fully recover. Over the long run, wages began to adjust. Unemployed workers accepted lower wages, and prices normalized. This gradual adjustment shifted the short-run aggregate supply curve to the right, bringing the economy back to full employment. Though the US economy eventually returned to full employment, many economists argue that without government intervention, the recovery would have taken much longer. This highlights the debate: should we rely on the economy's natural adjustment mechanisms, or is government intervention necessary to speed up recovery? To wrap it up, long-run self-adjustment is the economy's way of naturally correcting itself after an economic shock, like a recession or inflation. It works through shifts in aggregate supply and demand, and over time, wages and prices adjust, leading the economy back to its full employment level. But remember, this process can take years, which is why many governments use fiscal and monetary policy to speed things up. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to AP Television and check out our next video, where we'll dive deeper into fiscal policy. See you next time.